Hello everyone, this is lesson 4.5, evaluating functions. We'll be able to evaluate functions today, and you can look there, that is our standard, FIF.2. Now that it is November, Halloween is over, so we can start with the Christmas memes. I love this movie. And math. Okay. So for a function to evaluate the function, you're going to replace or substitute the variable for a given number. So this is how we read a function. If you look here, it's with the f and then parentheses x. We read that f of x, and then this is equals x plus 2. So important here that the x is just a placeholder. Oh, that was an ugly x. The x is just a placeholder, and the f is just a name. So it's f for function, but it's just a name. So we could also say h of x equals x plus 2. We could say banana of w equals w plus 2. We could say Mrs. Z of x equals x plus 2. These are all the same. It does not matter what letter there or what variable. It's just a placeholder and a name. So don't let that trip you up if you see h of x or g of x. You're not going to see anything silly like banana of w or Mrs. Z of x, but technically you could. We're going to go right on to evaluating. So if f of x, remember that's how we read it, equals 3x minus 7, we want to find f of 9. So all we do here is replace. So f of 9 is going to equal 3 times 9 minus 7. We're replacing that or substituting that 9 in for the x. Okay? So then we have 27 minus 7, and f of 9 is 20. Same thing here. If f of x is 1/2 x plus 4, what's f of 2? We're going to replace that x with a 2. 1/2 of 2 is 1, plus 4, 5. That's our answer. So that is simple enough. We're just substituting it in and solving if we want to find f of whatever, of a new variable. These next two are a little bit different. If f of x is 2x minus 10, find f of x equals 20. So f of x and 20 are equal to each other. They're the same. So instead of changing out the x for 20, we don't want f of 20, we want f of x equals 20. So we are going to do 20 equals 2x minus 10. Do you see how that looks different here? F of 2 or f of x is 20. This whole thing is f of x. F of x is 20. We want to know what is x if the whole thing equals 20. And we can solve it like an equation. We've done this part a million times where we do the opposite. Right? We've done this a lot. We're pros by now. So 15 is going to equal x, or remember how mathematicians like it, x equals 15, is how we find the answer to that one. Same thing for the next one. If f of x equals 4x minus 9, find f of x equals 7. So these two look very different, right? They're different. So we want to know this whole f of x, this whole thing right here, that equals 7. So we have to write it that way and solve it, just like a regular equation. And we know how to do this on both sides of the equal sign. You guys are so tired of me telling you the steps to solve an equation. Can you tell it's important? Okay, x equals 4. So we can do that either way. We can find, it can tell us to substitute something for x to evaluate it, or we can solve and see what x is when the whole thing, the whole function equals something. They look different there, so you just got to pay attention. Same idea here with a graph. So if it's f of x, this graph here is f of x. This is the function. It's represented on a graph now. F of 2, if it's normally f of x, we're looking on the x-axis. What is f of 2? We're going to go 1, 2. F of 2 is -1. See, it's right here. When x is 2, the function is -1. Now, this says find f of x equals 2. So we found the input. Now we need to know when the output is 2, when the y, remember the y is the output. When the output is 2, what is x? 5. Do you see how I did that? We move on the x-axis here and the y-axis here. Input and output. Just like before we learned with domain and range. On to the next graph over here. F of 5. When x is 5, it crosses right here, and that is at -1 on the y-axis. Again, that was an accident, actually. Now, f of x equals 3. That goes over, and it's actually 3 on the y-axis as well. This one is a little bit different. You're just looking at the graph. You're either looking at the x or the input, or the y, the output again. Okay? So you can do it either way. You can either find f of something or f of x equals something. You can do it either way. You still just have to go and see what value it matches up with on that graph. One last example here. This looks intimidating. It's really not. So we want to find f of -5. Now this little bracket and this system here, these two different, this is the same function. If we were going to graph it, it maybe wouldn't be continuous, right? It's telling us when x is less than -3, we use this guy. We use this when x is less than -3. When x is greater than or equal to -3, we use this guy, okay? So we want to know when f is -5, f of -5. -5 is less than -3, so we're going to use this one. We get to ignore that one. And we just would solve it like we normally would, like we did before. So every time we see an x, we substitute. So it's 4 times -5 plus 7, because it meets this requirement right there. X is less than -3. So we've got -20 plus 7, -13, and that's our answer. So you really only have to worry about one of them once you choose and find out what one you're using. If we wanted to find, say, f of 4, we would use that, right? Because 4 is greater than or equal to -3. You're just choosing which one to use. So we chose that one, that top one there. That is all for evaluating functions. You may need to watch this a couple times. Make sure you take your notes and use your examples. It will help you with your assignment. I hope that you all have a fabulous day.